The strangest WWE release ever. So let's cut to the chase. Why WWE releasing Karrion Kross is the strangest, most bizarre, and most outrageous WWE release ever. Certainly for as long as I've been watching WWE programming since 2003, I can't remember a release like this. Certainly back in May when R-Truth was released, there was a huge uproar, not just among a very notably large vocal segment of WWE fans, but also by a lot of WWE superstars in the back. But that doesn't compare at all to Karrion Kross. And the reason is because I didn't see R-Truth in WWE programming for the whole year up until shortly before his main event in May against John Cena. The fan support for R-Truth seemed to only happen as a reaction to his release rather than a more natural fan reaction to Truth before his release. Ironically, keeping Truth may have led to Kross's release, because I suspect reinstating R-Truth, who was being paid a lot of money for doing what seems like was certainly not worth it, considering he is hardly on TV all year before Saturday Night's main event, and now that he's back, he's hardly been on TV ever since. The fans wanted Truth, and it seems the fans have got Truth, but sadly, they've got Truth instead of Karrion Kross. However, I doubt this is the reason or the main reason why Karrion Kross isn't there. And to be frank, I don't know what the main reason why Kross isn't on WWE programming is. But we certainly have a lot of theories and clues as to speculate on what the reason is. Thankfully, Karrion Kross gave us a lot of answers in a recent interview with Ariel Helwani, which you can find on YouTube. In that interview, Karrion Kross revealed why he's no longer with the WWE anymore. Or is he? Yes, I will get to the is this all a work theory later in the video. Kross, on the other hand, has massive support, unlike R-Truth. Karrion Kross not just has a massive support from a very notable segment of the WWE fans, and I won't say every WWE fans or massive amount of WWE fans, because if it was a massive amount of WWE fans, I very much doubt Karrion Kross would be released. I'm speculating maybe there's some analytical data that suggests that, hey, Karrion Kross has a big fan support amongst the fans, including myself, but maybe his appeal only touches on a segment of fans who are very loud. That said, there's a superstar for everyone, and getting rid of Karrion Kross just because he appeals to a very specific amount of WWE fans rather than a massively broad audience, such as Hulk Hogan or Steve Austin did. Anyway, Karrion Kross, I believe he was the top merchandise seller, up there with Roman Reigns and CM Punk. So it's hard to believe they couldn't find the money to pay Karrion Kross. Yes, in a recent interview with Ariel Helwani, Karrion Kross revealed that it appears the reason he was released from the WWE was because of contract dispute. A contract dispute which obviously involved mostly pay, it would seem. It seems like Karrion Kross has not just let go, but rather Kross seemingly wanted more money than was being offered. This to me seems strange because Kross has this fan support. He has not reached the peak of his potential in WWE. So the money's there. The money's there, Kross. The more you're on TV, Karrion Kross, the more fan support you will build, and eventually WWE will probably pivot and put you, Karrion Kross, in the main event spot. The money's there, Kross. You just have to wait for it, man. The money will come, man. That said, I don't think Karrion Kross asking for money is bad business. In a recent video I watched on YouTube, which I can't remember the title of the video, I heard somebody say, I think it might have been Dutch Mantel, that you are positioned and booked like you are paid. So the money doesn't necessarily follow your booking. Sometimes what you are paid positions where you are booked. It might sound a little strange. So if Kross wanted to be booked like a top superstar in the WWE, maybe he was just positioning himself that way by asking for more money and for a better deal. Now, Karrion Kross didn't actually reject the deal being offered outright, because I have to say that would be stupid for Karrion Kross to do. He just asked the WWE for some metrics so Karrion Kross could come to a decision as to how they got the number that they offered him. And WWE subsequently gave Karrion Kross 24 hours to respond to the contract, and they did not provide any metrics or what Karrion Kross asked for regarding the data. Karrion Kross seemingly just wanted to know how WWE came to the number that was offered to him. Karrion Kross wasn't satisfied with the number that was offered to him, and since he did not meet the 24-hour deadline set by the WWE to respond to the contract that was offered, Karrion Kross's offer was rescinded by the WWE. And now Karrion Kross is a free agent, which is extremely surprising. The sequence of events is one of the strangest events to occur, especially when you're dealing with Karrion Kross, a guy who I would see eventually being one of the top guys in the WWE, a guy whose fan support is trajecting him on a path to grow as big as CM Punk or Roman Reigns. And CM Punk and Roman Reigns, Karrion Kross would be at that top spot with those two guys, at least if Kross had not been released from the WWE. It would have been inevitable that Kross would have been as big as Roman Reigns or a CM Punk. So, Karrion Kross is in the top 3 or 4 most charismatic superstars in the WWE. I mean, Karrion Kross is right up there along John Cena, CM Punk, and Logan Paul as the most charismatic wrestler and the best talker in all of the WWE. So why the heck would WWE release that guy? Why the heck would they release Karrion Kross? Are they not seeing what I'm seeing? Certainly I'm not the only one, because Kross has massive fan support across a very vocal proportion of WWE fans, including myself. So this leads to the very pertinent question, why would WWE release Kross? Why would they let Karrion Kross go? Is Kross's fan support only with a minority of WWE fans, albeit a very loud and vocal minority? Is there something wrong with Karrion Kross's in-ring work? Is Kross afraid of taking bumps, as a recent rumor from a few months ago suggested? Has Karrion Kross and/or Scarlett Bordeaux fallen out with WWE because of a recent incident, in quotes? Or is this just pure corporate cost cutting, or even a work? Well, I will answer all and attempt to answer all and give you my opinion on each of these theories. I've recently watched some of Karrion Kross's matches, and admittedly, I'm not very familiar with Karrion Kross myself, as I did not watch Karrion Kross in NXT. My first impression of Karrion Kross is actually at WrestleMania this year, when he was backstage with Sami Zayn. And I noticed that something with Karrion Kross. I noticed he had a tremendous amount of natural charisma, something that is extremely hard to find. I noticed that Karrion Kross seemed to have that it factor. And how many guys in the WWE have that it factor? You can certainly name Logan Paul, you can certainly name CM Punk, you can certainly name Roman Reigns. There are not many guys who have the it factor. So why would you release a guy who has the it factor? That being said, there's something to be said about Karrion Kross's in-ring work. I did think that Karrion Kross's in-ring work, when I watched his match at SummerSlam against Sami Zayn, it did look a little different. I don't know if I would call it unprofessional looking. However, I have to watch more Karrion Kross's matches to explain what exactly it is that is a little off with Karrion Kross's in-ring performance. I don't see something terrible or something bad necessarily. I just noticed that Karrion Kross's movements seem to be just not quite as smooth looking as most WWE superstars. However, whatever minor problems I have seen in Karrion Kross's ring work, I don't think it makes up for the fact that it's very easy, or relatively easy, to train somebody or to polish somebody's in-ring work up. To find somebody with the it factor, to find somebody with charisma and personality. Now that's a hard thing to manufacture. That's a hard thing to find. Now to the this is all a work angle theory. On the face of it, I thought this theory was ludicrous and bizarre. I imagine the best explanation is that it is all a work And it might seem strange that it is all a work, but if you've seen the lengths WWE have went to hide Seth Rollins' fake knee injury before SummerSlam, then you know it is not totally out of WWE's wheelhouse to orchestrate something like a fake release. However, it still does leave the question, what would be the motivation for all this to be a work? Why would WWE orchestrate this? Well, I think it might be to rebrand Karrion Kross as a babyface. It might be because of the old classic saying, absence makes the heart go stronger. So I do think there are some very compelling reasons why this would be a work. We saw, for example, the massive fan support that R-Truth got after he was released. So maybe WWE have managed to find a way to gather more fan support and more massive fan support for Karrion Kross in a similar manner to R-Truth. Now, the biggest hole in the rumor that this is all a work is actually what Karrion Kross said on the Ariel Helwani show when he was asked flat out by Helwani, "Are you working us now?" Karrion Kross very swiftly replied, "No, this isn't a work. I'm not in character right now." So based on my gut reaction to that response, I get the sense that Karrion Kross was telling the truth when he said that. He wasn't lying, so either he was super prepared for the question, or maybe Kross is just a super talented actor. Because how could he deliver an answer like that so abruptly without there being any signs of lying or dishonesty whilst making that statement? So that response by Kross, in my mind, puts a hole in the theory that this is all a work. Which leads us back to the original question. Why? Why WWE would release a guy with so much upside potential? You can teach just about anybody in athletic condition to wrestle, but you can't teach charisma. You can't teach the it factor. So why would WWE release Karrion Kross? My best guess is corporate. See, there are actually some people on the WWE, on the creative side, who are big fans of Karrion Kross. Paul Heyman, who has, I don't know if he's specifically on the creative side or if he is just an on-screen character, but certainly he has a lot of influence in the WWE. So Paul Heyman recently compared the fan support, the gathering and rising fan support for Karrion Kross to that of Stone Cold Steve Austin's fan support in 1997. And that statement was made just a few weeks ago on YouTube by Paul Heyman. So there's a guy in WWE, whether he's on creative or he's just got a massive influence in the WWE, he's certainly able to communicate to Triple H. He compares Karrion Kross to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yet a few weeks later, Karrion Kross's contract expires and he's gone. And my opinion on this is that WWE is no longer a private company anymore. They don't just have Vince McMahon or top creative people at the top of the company who make all the decisions. This is a corporate company. This is a company that is dedicating to cutting costs. When WWE brought R-Truth back, they were forced to cut costs somewhere else. And unfortunately, cutting costs somewhere else may have led to Karrion Kross being dismissed and then letting him go. However, in my opinion, you're still letting gold go, WWE. You're still letting Major Gold, and you're letting potentially a very top guy in WWE, a guy in the level of CM Punk, potentially go. Now, there's no real guarantee that Karrion Kross will be as big as CM Punk. Although, in my opinion, the writing's on the wall. If you're not going to make a bet on Karrion Kross, then who would you bet on? I mean, Paul Heyman just compared Karrion Kross to Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1997. So, I don't think it wasn't Paul Heyman's decision. I don't even think it was creative's decision. I don't even think it was necessarily Triple H's decision. This was a corporate decision to cut costs. Karrion Kross was offered a contract, but he wasn't happy with the money that was offered. And WWE and TKO said, we can't do this. We can't do this as a corporate company, just giving superstars whatever they want. And a major clue to this theory being right is the fact that WWE is counter-programming AEW. They're counter-programming AEW because they are in competition with AEW. I heard Eric Bischoff say a few months ago, or maybe last year, that AEW is no real threat to WWE because WWE is making massive revenues that are far, far away and beyond AEW. But the fact remains, Eric Bischoff, the fact remains that they may not be equal or near equal in terms of market share, but the fact remains that AEW can steal WWE superstars. And even the WWE superstars they don't steal, they're forcing the WWE superstars who are with the WWE to ask for more money. And WWE used to, until very recently, give WWE superstars more money because they knew that if they didn't give them the money, that they could potentially go to AEW and help AEW grow as a company and as a competitor. Now, if this is a work, how would I book Karrion Kross? Well, my opinion is Karrion Kross returns at the main event of Clash in Paris. Now, when he returns, he gets chased around the arena by security. And eventually he gets escorted out of the arena in handcuffs by police. Basically, you have another Stone Cold Steve Austin-like moment from '97, where Stone Cold Steve Austin was arrested and handcuffed. You're basically playing into the angle that Karrion Kross is not supposed to be in WWE, but he came back regardless. And in doing so, you make TV hot, you make TV exciting, and you center the show. You reorient the show with Karrion Kross being a main event player, a major main event player. Now, that's how I would book Karrion Kross if he was to return to WWE. Clash in Paris, he gets involved in the main event. He's a disruptor, and he's still fired, so he gets arrested by the police when he gets involved and invades the main event. Now, another hole that pokes in the theory that this is a work is the fact that Karrion Kross has already been booked for some multiple dates, including his very first non-WWE booking since being released on the WWE. WrestlePro presents Killer Smoke Show on Sunday, September 21st. Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux at WrestlePro on Sunday, September 21st. So that is Karrion Kross' first in-ring action outside of the WWE. So him being booked for a non-WWE product strongly insinuates that Karrion Kross is gone from the WWE and it's not a work. However, if it's not a work, you would have to do something to make it look like it is not a work. So I'm wondering if this advertised show is allowed to happen by the WWE in order to make him being off TV look more authentic. So the fact that it's a work does not become obvious. So overall, I do think it's probably not a work. It's extremely strange why Karrion Kross is not with the WWE anymore. So what do you think? Do you think it's a work? Do you think it's real? What are the reasons you believe Karrion Kross has not been given the contract he's asked for to return to the WWE? Why have WWE let the next Stone Cold Steve Austin, why have they let his contract to lapse? It's not like the WWE are broke. It's not like they couldn't come up with the money if they wanted to. So, what do you think? Like and subscribe and see you later if you want to hear more from Wrestling Review.